How do you build or rebuild trust and grow together? Trust me. The reason for secrecy, lies, cheating, and affairs is always intimacy. Intimacy is the unspoken understanding, the trust, and the bond between you. If there's been a betrayal, lack of trust, lack of intimacy, you're not alone. It's okay. You're in the right place. No shame, no blame. I'm here to help. I'm Amy Culler, known as the best intimacy coach because I offer real solutions for real people. I've been helping men navigate intimacy, sex, relationships, and love for a very long time. I've got a program called the Intimacy Game Plan where you can transform your relationship from roommates to playmates without just talking. I'll tell you more about it at the end. Stay with me. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I've got so much to share. In this video, I'm going to be sharing the 2 moves that build the foundation for trust. And I'm going to tell you 4 stories of clients who have transformed using these 2 moves. We're going to start with the moves. Understand that you are basically an intimacy team. Your relationship is an intimacy team, and you're going to learn how to be intimate together. First thing is you're going to be learning a routine. A routine is a repeat action. It's something that you do like a sequence. You're learning a drill together, okay? And these things take practice. And number 2, you're going to learn the huddle. The huddle is the intimacy hack that I discovered and I developed. You'll find details about it in other videos. I've done a TED talk about it. I wrote the book, The Huddle, How to Score in Sex and Love. You'll find links for both of those things in the description. We'll get there later. The huddle is a wordless action that you do together. It increases your understanding and your unspoken bond. Sort of like a sports team does that. Hey ho, go team, right? It's awkward, but it's what makes them a team. It's like having a secret handshake, only way better. Trust me. And by learning a routine together, you're building trust and you're building intimacy skills. And everything starts with a huddle. Story number 1, Alex and Alice. She had sexual trauma in her past, and that left her with trust issues. They had zero intimacy. She'd been to the doctor, she'd been to therapists, and both of them couldn't help her. They're like, oh, well. And her husband feels stuck. He loves her. He's like her hero. They love each other. What is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to stay and suffer without sex? Or is he supposed to leave her and hurt the one that he loves because of sex? He felt trapped and very depressed. They joined the intimacy game plan and they learned how to huddle. They also learned that everybody has some kind of trauma when it comes to sexuality and being in intimate connection with everybody, with somebody. Everybody has that. And it's that connection that you can feel that heals. That's how you learn to be safe with yourself and safe with each other. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That sound, that is a huddle sound. So they learn to start their routine by making that huddle sound 3 times. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's way more to it than that, of course, but that huddle feels so good. It creates the connection that you can feel, and that's what heals. It also creates a positive feedback loop. And that means that the more you do it, the more you want to do it. The more you do it, the better it feels. Doesn't that sound good? Uh-huh. This one little move, knowing what to do, when to do it, where to do it, how to do it, knowing when you're going to start and when it's going to be over, that's what builds trust. For Alice and Alex, knowing that this is what they do with each other. Intimacy are things that you wouldn't do with anybody else. This huddle together, building this routine together, this, what she does with him, is not that. It's not like anything that had ever happened to her in her past. Having this routine, having this huddle, doing it over and over, helps her to drop her guard so that she can lean into him. It builds that trust and that intimacy between them. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Love to hear from you. Let me know any questions in the comments. Story number 2. We'll call them Bob and Becky. For them, marriage gave them a sense of control, but it didn't give them a sense of trust. Quite frankly, she didn't trust him. She didn't want to have sex with him. She was always mad at him. If he took out the trash, he did it wrong. Anything that he did wrong. He loved his mountain bike. He loved to go biking. But suddenly, she didn't want him to go biking. What if something happens to you? What if you get hurt? What if you can't come back to me? Prove to me that you love me. Stop riding your bike. But control is not trust. Trust is committing to being part of an intimacy team. And intimacy is not control, it's the understanding that you're still part of the team, even when you're not physically together. It's also understanding that you are each other's cheerleaders. I want you to be the best that you can be. I want you to enjoy your bike ride. I want you to enjoy being the best that you can be. Mm-hmm. And it's that connection that you can feel that heals so that they can know that they're together even when they're not physically connected. It starts with a huddle. Having that practice makes them feel secure, like they're in it together, in and out of the bedroom, no matter what they're doing in life. For Bob and Becky, they learned how to trust each other by giving and receiving love and giving and receiving that space, by giving and receiving that trust and that giving up control. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Story number 3, we'll call them Natalie and Nate. They had been together since they were teens, and she cheated. Oh, she felt so bad. She was just mortified. She just didn't know what to do. She didn't know whether she wanted to stay or leave, quite frankly. But to make it up to him, she was having sex, lots of sex, wild sex, doing anything she wanted to do, which wasn't a lot. And quite frankly, she was like, ugh, because it was still the bad sex that they were having since they were 17 years old. Sex is not trust. Even if it's wild sex, even if it's bad sex or good sex, even great sex does not build trust. It's vulnerability and being in connection that builds trust. Having a routine, starting with this huddle, that's when you're being vulnerable together. And also understanding that every game is a practice game, that they're able to learn new skills. They took their relationship and they're making love to the next level. For Natalie and Nate, first they started with the connection that you can feel so that they knew that they were in it together because that's what makes it satisfying. Mm-hmm. Then they learned their starting positions. They learned their starting moves. They learned about touch. They learned how to initiate. They learned about foreplay. Oh, they trust that they're going to get better and better as being lovers together. That's what you want in your intimate relationship. Talk about trust. Then you really trust that when you trust that you are your partner's lover, you feel secure in your intimate relationship. They built skills, and these things take practice, and everything starts with a huddle. Make sense? Story number 4. We'll call them Chris and Krista. Look, fouls happen to even the best teams and the nicest people. They met at church. They waited till they got married. On their wedding night, they discovered that there was pain, there were issues. I call them obstacles to penetration. They'd been sexless for years due to his frustration and his need to keep his family together. Chris had secret sexual activities, whether that was porn, hookup sites, or others. You're not alone. He's not alone. No shame, no blame. But between them, they had lots of guilt and shame. It had been like this for years. And they're going, how do we get past this? You have an intimacy game plan. You learn a routine. That's how you feel safe with each other. You wouldn't do this routine with anybody else. And everything starts with a huddle. Mm-hmm. That's that wordless action that builds the trust with yourself and with each other. You're willing to connect when you do this huddle and you learn this routine together. Also, in the intimacy game plan, we call sex pleasure. Mm-hmm. And the cure for pain. Remember, she had pain on their wedding night. The cure for pain is pleasure. So I want them to know that they are the source, to trust that you are the source of her pleasure, that she is the source of your pleasure. And when you learn through the intimacy game plan all of the ways to explore pleasure together, the possibilities are endless. When you know that you're in this together and you're learning to give and receive pleasure, oh, it's so good. So the focus of this routine and this huddle, these two moves, are to stay in connection and to share pleasure. That's how you build emotional and physical trust. You're growing the skills for compassion and empathy. And also, by learning pleasure, by learning how to be there for each other, you're also learning about forgiveness. You trust that you have an intimacy game plan. And in the intimacy game plan, what I call you're getting to is the love you man phase. Because picture a team, even after a game that they've lost. Can you imagine? They lost the Super Bowl, okay? Joe, oh, he dropped the ball at the Super Bowl. Can you imagine? If that's your team, if that's your teammate, if that's your partner, you'd be like, oh my God, they're never going to forgive me. I can't even go back to it. But because you have an intimacy game plan, because they have a coach, they recover. They know they're going to get back in the game. They understand that every game is a practice game, that they're going to learn from this, that they're going to still be in it together. That's how you build that trust. Otherwise, you'd be going, I'm never throwing him the ball again. He's the one who dropped it. Remember 8 years ago when he dropped the ball? Having an intimacy game plan, a routine, and a practice is what helps you know that you're going to grow better together. They learned that intimacy is not sex, that it's being in it together that makes it so good. And once you have these practices, you can take these risks. You can be vulnerable together. They can discover pleasure together. They can explore all the things that give them pleasure in and out of the bedroom. Does that make sense? Does this make sense? Is it? Let me know. Hit that like button. Let me know in the comments. Does this make sense? Do any of these stories relate to you? Do you have any questions? I'd love to hear from you. And if betrayal is affecting the quality of your life, your love, your relationships, you don't have to figure it out alone. I'm here to help. I see people who love each other wanting connection. In the intimacy game plan, you grow the trust. You grow together instead of worrying about growing apart. In this program, you learn to love and be loved by learning to be lovers together. It's so beautiful. I love it so much because it's that trust that you can feel that allows you to take risks together and know that you can overcome anything. Isn't that beautiful? You'll find a link in the description that goes directly to my calendar where you can talk to me. I'll give you a strategy, and together we'll find out if an intimacy game plan is right for you. You can go to my website. Find a link in the description where you can get a free download, the 5 strategies. You'll find a link to my Facebook group where you can connect with me. I look forward to meeting with you. In the meantime, stay connected to yourself, each other, and me. And I'll see you soon. Okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.